Hi everyone, it's Shannon. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so super excited to be sharing with you my top 10 most favorite farmhouse style DIYs that I've created here on my channel using Dollar Tree supplies. So today I'm going to share with you the shortened version of all 10 of these projects, but I am going to create a playlist and link that down in the description box. If you want to go and watch each one of these projects individually, that will have a lot more detail in them, as well as supplies and sizing and all of that. Let's go ahead and jump right into the very first project, which is a coffee mug tree. I still use this to this day. It is just made with a Dollar Tree cutting board. I found the center of it, drilled a hole. I'm also using a Dollar Tree rolling pin. I drilled a hole in the center of that and just used a screw and some wood glue to attach it all together. Next, I drilled some holes in the rolling pin after I painted it. You can see here I painted it with my trusty traditional burnt umber paint, drilled some holes, added some cup hooks, and then I even added a cute little finial to the top to give it a little bit more character and style. And that's all there is to this really simple project. It's a really simple idea, but it's so super functional, and like I said, over a year later I'm still using this to this day. It sits on my countertop in the kitchen. I love being able to create my own home decor on a budget, like this Pier 1 dupe planter that I created using two of the biggest planters that Dollar Tree carried. I cut the bottom using some tin snips off of one of the buckets before attaching them together. So this is basically going to be the top of the planter. I used some hot glue to attach the rims together. Also used some duct tape to make sure they were nice and secure and would not come back apart. And then I just used lots and lots of the nautical rope from Dollar Tree and my hot glue and wrapped and wrapped and wrapped quite a bit all the way around this planter, and that's all there was to this project. I really was loving the look of wreath stands and knew it was a simple enough design that I could create my own. So I grabbed some scrap wood that I already had down in my stash in my workshop. Here's a list at all of the pieces that I will be cutting down to size. Again, you can go over to that playlist and see more details about how to do this, but the basic concept is I cut all of my pieces down to size. I sanded them, and then this one I'm using a Craig jig, or I'm using pocket holes on a Dollar Tree wood sign and attaching all of the scrap wood and the Dollar Tree sign together using some wood glue and some wood screws. I also made a cute little topper for it to give it more of a decorative look, and a little finial on the top. And then I also used a Dollar Tree plastic hook that just had foam tape on the back, and that's what's going to hold my wreath in place. Then I took it outside, spray painted it, and it was all completely finished and ready to go. This was such a simple and quick project. You see I have it displayed here on the porch, but I've also had it inside on the floor and even on our entryway table. You can create so much using Dollar Tree's foam board, and that is how I got the basic shape of this wall pocket. So I'm using black, which is what I had on hand, and I basically cut 2 square sides, and then I needed 2 triangles to go on each side. I used some hot glue to piece all of it together, and then I also used some packing tape to make sure my seams stayed all together and that my basket wouldn't come apart. Again, I am using Dollar Tree's nautical rope. I started at the very bottom so I could cover up that seam before winding the rope around and around the entire piece using my hot glue. Once I got to the top, I used a Dollar Tree fleece scarf to make a faux liner. I also added a little rope hook to the top so I could hang it and pieced the scarf around it. And I don't think you'd ever know that this was made out of foam board, some rope, and some actual fleece scarf. So it's kind of funny, but it all really turned out beautiful. And it's a beautiful farmhouse piece, something you could add different elements to. You could put it in a kid's room and put books or toys in it. You could put it in a bathroom and keep a hairbrush or something in it. So lots of versatility with this piece too. I absolutely love lanterns. I have a total obsession with them, and I always try and find new ways of how I can incorporate them into our home. So for this, I'm using 4 of the Dollar Tree longwood signs like I did for the wreath holder, and created a top and bottom piece, and then a decorative top piece, and also 4 little feet for the bottom. So you can see this is the 1x2 that I used for the feet on the bottom. And here's a look at all the pieces all sanded down right before I was able to piece everything together. Like I said, I will have a link down in the description box if you want more details on sizes and options of how you can create this without the Dollar Tree signs. But basically it's got 4 corners, the top and a bottom, and a decorative top piece and 4 feet underneath. Once it was all put together, I used my white chalk paint to finish it. And then I also added a metal handle to the top. I get these from Lowe's. They're my favorite from there. And then this is actually still sitting on our front porch. So this is weathered through fall, winter, and now it is spring. So it definitely has held up. And I've just changed out the decor on the inside to match the seasons, and I plan on using it still through this spring and probably into the summer again because it's just a unique piece. It's held up really well and it still looks really nice. Now this little guy, I think, prompted a lot of mop gnomes being made in the DIY community. I used a ping pong ball from the Dollar Tree and painted it. I also used a t-shirt from Dollar Tree and one of their bags of beans, dried beans. To be the body of my gnome, I used a rag mop and stuck that into the beans, and that became the gnome's beard. And then all I did was create a hat. So I was trying to keep everything from Dollar Tree. So I'm using another white t-shirt. I made 2 triangles. I'm also using a scarf from the Dollar Tree, but you could, of course, use any kind of fabric. That would work well. I had to decoupage mine together because I really wanted a buffalo check hat for it, but this is all they had at the time. And then I just glued my hat seams together, flipped the hat inside out, kind of made a cuff at the bottom to cover up the raw edge, and then I glued that on top of the gnome's head before gluing his little nose into place. This cute little gnome has been in my decor for every season as well. He is so cute, and I've seen so many creative versions of him where people have brushed out his beard or have added different accessories to him, and I just love them. They're so fun and they're so adorable, and if you can create them as cheaply as you can using supplies from the Dollar Tree, then you really could have one to match every holiday and every season. I still to this day use this vintage looking window in a lot of my photography setups. It's so cute and pretty neutral, so it matches a lot of things. So I usually just keep it up on my floating shelves, but I used an 11 by 14 size frame from Dollar Tree and some barbecue skewers. So basically I just made diamond shapes for the top, attached them to longer barbecue skewers for the bottom, and then glued those into place around the mirror, and also glued them to each other so they would all stay in place. Next, I painted it gray first, and then I gave it a coat of white chalk paint over the top of that to give it more of a rustic and weathered look. And it all just came out so beautifully. It has held up really well. Hot glue is kind of magic sometimes. And I really would love to make a even bigger one of these one day, maybe with a larger frame from a different store. But this was definitely one of my top favorites. Dollar Tree also carries amazing wood rulers, and that prompted this project. It's sort of a miniature faux barn door. So I took apart some wood rulers from Dollar Tree. They came in a pack of 2. So this is a pretty inexpensive project. I used my miter box, which I will link in the description box. I highly recommend having one of these on hand. They are so handy, and I have them in my Amazon favorite store. And all I did to create this was just cut all of my rulers down to size, piece them together so that they looked like a barn door. And for the main piece of the barn door, I used some foam board cut down to size, and then I just painted the barn door with some white chalk paint to give it some texture. I also gave the rulers a coat of the traditional burnt umber acrylic paint, and once those were dry, I could just glue. I used some tacky glue to glue these all in place, but I'm sure you could use like hot glue too if you want. And then next I used something a little bit different. I used one of the black placemats from Dollar Tree to create some hinges. So I used scissors to cut 2 of those out and a hole punch to punch holes in them and really give them more of an authentic look. And then I wanted to add something to the middle of the door. It just sort of looked like it needed something. So I have, this is our Happy Place decal. It is in my Etsy shop still, which you can check out at crossonmyheart.com, and I'll link that down in the description box below as well. And I made this to fit inside here, but you can use it on wood or plastic or glass. You can really get creative with these decals, but it just turned out and really made this whole piece come together, and I ended up displaying it on our back porch during springtime with all the beautiful flowers in flower pots, but it's still definitely a piece you could use year-round. Now moving on to this enamel tiered tray. You guys must love this as much as I do. It has a lot of views on it. It's one of my top viewed videos. I'm using some metal bowls and metal tray from the Dollar Tree, as well as a rolling pin from Dollar Tree as all of the center connecting points. So I did have to sand these down and added some wood stain to them. That really gave it that rustic look. After all of the pieces were dried, I took some black chalk paint all the way around the edges to give it that faux enamel chippy look. And last, I used a 2-part epoxy to attach the rolling pin to each section to get that tiered tray look. I love tiered trays. They are so super fun to decorate. I love how versatile they are. You can make them match all the holidays and seasons. You can paint them any color. You can make them look like wood if you want. And you can use them in your kitchen. You can use them in your living room. So there's so many different fun things you can do with them. Definitely a great farmhouse staple to have on hand. Now these wooden herb boxes were inspired by a very expensive version that I saw online and thought I can make that lots cheaper. So here is a cut list of pieces that I used to create a box using scrap wood and the cutting boards from Dollar Tree. But again, I will link the full tutorial of this down in the description box, so you can really recreate this with more detail in that video. But here is a basic look of how all of those pieces come together once you have them all cut down and that beautiful cutting board that we all love from the Dollar Tree as the front. I also used hooks from the Dollar Tree to use as hangers for these boxes, so I kind of had to get creative of how I was going to attach the hooks onto the boxes, and this is kind of what I came up with. But before I attached those permanently, I built the boxes one by one. I made 3 total. I'm using wood glue and 1 1/4 inch brad nails to make the whole box. I did use my Jacobine wood stain to give these that finished beautiful look and really make the wood stand out. And you can see here I used some floral wire to attach the hooks to the insides of the boxes so that they could hang outside where I wanted them to. And to finish them off, I designed these stencils. I still have the design in my Etsy shop, which is crossinmyheart.com. I will link that down in the description box. You can find all of the decals and stencils that I use for these projects down there. This, you'll just find the files though, because it is quite a bit of work to create these, but if you already have a vinyl machine, then it won't be too much work for you. You can just purchase the design and then you can use either vinyl and create a decal, or you can do what I'm doing and showing you right here, which is stenciling them on. So I'm using Oramask for this, and using my white chalk paint, I did 2 coats before pulling off the stencil and then letting them dry completely, and then all of my boxes were ready to use. Now this was one of those projects that had quite a bit of detail to it, so you want to make sure to check the link in the description box to this full tutorial if you want more details about it. But I will say that these have held up so good. I did put dirt and real parsley, sage, and thyme in them last spring, and they held up great. I'll be doing the same thing this spring. Don't forget to check crossinmyheart.com, which is my Etsy shop, for the stencils and decals and SVG files that you saw me feature in today's video. I hope that you found inspiration in today's video. If you did, please take a second and give this video a thumbs up for me. That helps out my channel so much. And please also hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, because you'll find new DIYs, tutorials, and new inspiration here every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I want to thank you all so much for joining me today. It was so great and so fun to look back at these projects. I remember creating each one of them, and each one of them having their own special, unique details, and they all come together so beautifully, and I still use them all to this day. I hope you'll hit that subscribe button and you'll find more DIY tutorials linked right here. Thanks so much again, and I'll see you next time. Bye everyone.